Italian Football Podcast.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Italian Football Podcast. I'm Carlo Garganese, joined as always by Nima Tavali. On today's show, we will discuss the new scandal engulfing Italian football, the betting scandal that has implicated Nicolo Fagioli, Nicolo Zaniolo, Sandro Tonali, and many more players potentially to come. We will do a deep dive on that, look at what's happened, what's going to happen next, and also some of the key talking points around that. We'll also review Italy's Euro 2024 qualifying win against Malta on Saturday, and then preview the game against England at Wembley on Tuesday. For all our first-time listeners, this is our free weekly episode that we do every Monday, reviewing the weekend Serie A action and all the biggest talking points in Italian football. If you want to support the Italian Football Podcast and receive all of our content that we do throughout the week, including a weekly Q&A episode every Tuesday, where we answer all the questions from our patrons, plus the weekly Thursday midweek review show, plus interviews, post-match reaction, and much, much more, then go to patreon.com/TIFP and become a subscriber for just $2.99 a month plus VAT. You can also now sign up to be a paid subscriber on Spotify, and we'll provide the link in the description. It's the same price and same terms. For all of you that do listen on Spotify or on Apple or on iTunes podcast, we really appreciate if you give us a 5-star rating, give us a follow, give us a like, also on YouTube as well. It really helps us to grow and do more quality content for you guys. So let's get into today's show. But first, a word from our sponsor.
Making your own podcast is fun, but the production of podcasts can also be challenging if you don't have the right software. With Zencastr, the whole process is quick and straightforward. Here at the Italian Football Podcast, we aim to have the highest of standards, and Zencastr provides crystal clear sound and fantastic HD video quality. Furthermore, it's really easy to use. Even boomers like Carlo can manage. There's nothing to download, just one click, and we start recording each episode. Zencastr ensures that your podcasting experience is easy and enjoyable. You don't even have to leave your browser, as it possesses all the tools required to get the episode done, from local recording to automatic post-productions. Go to zencastr.com/pricing and use our code ItalianFootball, one word. You'll get 30% off your first 3 months of Zencastr Professional. We want you to have the same easy experiences that we do for all our podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story.
Okay, right. Only one place to start, and that is this betting scandal that has erupted. It wouldn't be an international break without some kind of new scandal, and we have one. So just to sum up what has actually happened, the Nicolo Zaniolo and Sandro Tonali were questioned by police on Thursday with the Italy squad in relation to an investigation into illegal betting, and this comes after Nicolo Fagioli, the Juventus midfielder, had already begun an investigation into his role in this betting scandal, so it's led to Tonali and Zaniolo leaving the Italy squad, and they didn't play against Malta. They won't play against England either. Now, what the players are accused of doing is using it's illegal betting, but using certainly in the case of Tonali and Zaniolo, using illegal online betting platforms. Now, it's illegal for footballers to bet. And they're also accused of betting using illegal platforms. So these are not licensed betting platforms, and so which is illegal. It's basically I don't know if Totonero is the correct way to describe it, but it's dark. It's unlicensed betting.
Yeah, exactly. It's unlicensed betting online. I mean, they are in Italy. You can bet. Gambling is legal if if it's part of the if it's licensed, and you have to get a license from the government and stuff like that. But it's basically they've made bets on sites online which are not have not been licensed in Italy. We don't know yet if they've been betting on football, which is the most serious thing here, because if you bet on football, as in if you bet on you're not allowed to. Footballers are forbidden from placing or taking bets, whether it's directly themselves or via family, indirectly, in competitions that are organized under FIFA, UEFA, and the FIGC, which means they can't bet on football, period. Now, if it were to be shown that they have been betting on football, well, they can be banned for 3 years. And that's what they're investigating now. We just know that they've been betting, that there's been a betting scandal, but we're not sure whether or not it's been on football or not. And I think that really matters. If they've been betting on football, well, goodbye. I mean, that's just not allowed. If they've been betting on just, I don't know, these online slot machines or whatever, I don't think it's going to be that serious. Not as serious, at least.
Okay, right. Okay, so that kind of explains what's happened. The investigation is ongoing right now.
Yeah.
We should also specify that that Fabrizio Corona, who is
Corona.
Corona.
If we're talking scumbags, I'm sorry, but if this man, I remember I learned about him the first time I saw a documentary about 22 years ago. This how he operates. Well, this is someone who was, when was it? He was sentenced to 13 years in prison by the Italian Supreme Court.
He didn't serve anywhere close to that. But,
he didn't. But he was for a myriad of offences, including lying and libeling people.
Those are the least serious.
Well, exactly.
Blackmail.
No, but I mean, we're talking about
extortion.
Extortion, exactly. That's what he does. I mean, in the documentary, he basically takes photos of famous rich people, then tells them, if you don't pay me, I'm going to publish this photo.
Yeah, he is. He's basically like Jeffrey Epstein. He gets compromising photos of people and evidence, and then he goes to the person and says, basically, well, do what I say, or pay me what I want, or this goes out in the media, and that often happened with footballers having affairs. And he did that to a lot of players.
No, he did, and he also, I remember in that documentary I saw, the guy is completely psychotic. He used to say, I remember this quote vividly from him in this documentary where he said, and this is a quote, by the way, I checked it again. He says, I'm just like Robin Hood, where I take from the rich, but instead of giving to the poor, I keep the money. Yeah, that's called being a thief.
Yeah,
that's what that is. No, he's truly insane. And this guy, this isn't the first. I mean, he was the one who started this ridiculous notion that Marcelo Brozovic and Wandanara, when Icardi and Brozo were at Inter, that they had a sexual affair, and he got sued by both of them and was had to apologize and pay them damages.
And it was a complete lie.
Complete lie, complete fabrication, which pissed which obviously conveniently he leaked when the whole situation with Icardi's captaincy when he was stripped of it came out. No, we were talking about one of the vilest human beings. And he's been thriving off of this because he's said all of this stuff, and some of it has come to pass. Now the Italian media are bringing him on in every single radio station and TV show.
As we've seen elsewhere,
expert on this issue, and it's like I don't.
As we've seen elsewhere, Nima, in the last week,
even now.
Yeah.
And we just got to have to wait and see what's happened. What has actually happened here? Have they bet on football, or have they been playing on online slot machines? I'm not making a defense for them, because I think it's stupid. Every human being, regardless of if they're a footballer or not, is responsible for for understanding what the law is, and and following that. It's as simple as that.
Okay, Nima. So, if you can you just give us an outline of what happens next in the legal process here?
Well, I mean, just briefly, as always in these cases, the investigation has to be done. As in completed, the police have to, and the prosecution and the police have to kind of go through all the material and feel that they're happy with whatever investigation, in terms of asking, interviewing people, questioning people, putting it all together. And once they're satisfied with that, hand it over to the prosecution, who then proceeds. And then, of course, the suspect in question has to respond. There's reports suggesting, for example, with Fagioli, that he's looking to plead bargain because, obviously, I think with Fagioli, we've understood that he has a gambling addiction. It seems very clear that we're dealing with someone who's battling addiction here. In his case, I think it's been very, very obvious that is the issue. But again, it depends. So we have to see what the investigation concludes and what they come to, and what the prosecution decides based on the evidence that what's the situation. I just pray and hope that they have not bet on football, that they've not been stupid enough to bet on football games. That we're just basically talking about playing, I don't know, poker or blackjack or whatever. That's what I'm hoping in this situation, that's what's happened. Because if they've bet on football, I mean, the mess, the way where this takes a completely different turn.
How serious are the potential punishments here?
Well, minimum 3 years, isn't it? I mean, just betting on football. I mean, we're talking 3 years and hefty fines, and 3 years for a footballer. I mean, that's the end of your career right there. 3-year ban, and it's that's not an Italian thing as such. I mean, I know that FIFA and UEFA are very, very hard on this stuff as well. They don't want footballers to bet, or people in football to bet on football games.
I don't know how it's applied. I mean, I'm just looking at like even Tonali, who had an incredible number of bets, and they were footballing bets as well, and he got banned for like 7 months. Was it 7 months?
Well, there was, from what I understand, there were other circumstances there as well. I can't remember. I haven't read too much into. I've read like bits and bobs of that, but there were extenuating circumstances, and of course. But the problem here is that in Italy, this is this thing has history, right? This isn't the first time this has happened. And so obviously they really, they don't want this to keep happening.
My understanding is that it would be, you're talking 2 to 3 years if it's like match fixing involved, because or on your own team, certainly, but definitely match fixing. I mean, if you remember Masiello, I remember the former Atalanta player when he was at Bari. Now he only ended up like, I don't know if it's what he got or it's what he served, but it was like 2 years, 2.5 years or something, and he literally bet on his own team. Well, he scored an own goal in a game that he deliberately scored an own goal in order to ensure a bet went through. So,
look, this is not just an Italian problem.
That's match fixing.
No, that is match fixing. I mean, look, but the thing is, we've had this problem. This is a problem in lots of countries. I mean, I know in Sweden we had a similar case with a player played in the top flight who was criminally charged for rigging games to pay off debts. That's the thing though. A lot of these guys, they end up accumulating lots of debt illegally, and then in order to pay off that, these criminal gangs force them essentially to do what they got them, and they force them to take give away a penalty or give away a yellow card, or do you know what I mean, like stuff like that. Especially the yellow card thing is something that is really.
I mean, if I can just raise a few important issues, and I want to leave the whole hypocrisy over betting, the amount of betting and gambling sponsorship there is. I want to, if we can just leave that for now, and we'll talk about that separately, because I think that deserves its own segment. Yeah. But there's a few little talking points that I want to raise, and I know you're probably going to disagree with me on some of these, but let's try and speak about this kind of calmly, and because I do think it is worth discussing. So first of all, I think that obviously the law is the law. There's a lot of
everyone has to follow.
Everyone's sort of. There's laws that are fair. There's laws that are unfair, and we see that not just in football. We see that everywhere. Now, I think that personally, I think that it's a bit of a ridiculous law that footballers are not able to bet. I can understand not being able to bet on your own team, obviously, or even on your own league. I understand that, but obviously we need to wait and see what they're betting on first.
Yeah.
But if they were, let's just say that they were betting on games in Malaysia or South America or the MLS or football that has, or lower league football that has absolutely no direct relation to the football that they play, then I just think it's just a bit ridiculous that we could be talking up to like 3 years, or really, should it even be forbidden for them to be able to bet on these games?
So. I think so. I think so. And I'll tell you why. Because the football community and the football world is not that big. And you could have a situation where, again, a lot of this betting is illegal. And a lot of these are criminal. A lot of these betting circles are run by criminal gangs, and you can easily find yourself in a situation if you allow footballers to bet on leagues and games they're not involved in. You're opening an entire new can of worms. That's been the legal rationale behind not allowing footballers and people who are directly employed in football to bet on football. Just, you're not allowed to do that. Just stay away from that. Now, I do agree that if we're talking about we're talking slot machines and poker games and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That to me is a completely different ball game.
Well, that is what Zaniolo, I'm not sure if it's Tonali, but I'm certain Zaniolo's agent has come out and said that, or his lawyer has come out and said that is what Zaniolo has been betting on.
Well, the problem with him is that he's bet on sites that you're not allowed to bet in if you live in Italy, because they don't have a license. Yeah. And this is something the European Union is cracking down hard on, because it's been such an unregulated market that, and they they have to regulate it. In the sense that, well, in order for you to be able to you be granted a license to operate, but since it's online, anyone can access it. And if you go and access sites that, the responsibility is on you to know that this site, you can't go on that site and bet on it. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's the onus. And
but should that be a sporting punishment? If Zaniolo's caught betting on blackjack,
I think it's more of a criminal thing.
It's a criminal, exactly. Yeah. So why should he get banned from football? But then again,
well, if you break the law criminally, you might end up in prison. And let's remember that elite sports, is not a human right. It's a privilege, and these guys are privileged.
If he gets put in prison, he can't play because he's in prison. But he shouldn't get a ban.
Yeah, but he's also brought the game into disrepute by doing that, by doing these things. And it's not just him; it's all of them. And that's the part of this where I find so frustrating, is that I understand that the life of a footballer is, it's not as beautiful as people make it out to be. They have millions of, especially young people look at numbers of followers on social media. They look at the supermodel girlfriend. They look at the fancy cars, the clothes, the lifestyle. But at the same time, the life of a footballer, when you talk to footballers, I think I would not be able to live that life for 5 minutes. It is such a dreary, boring life.
No, it is. Just to prove what you've just said there, Nima, I met at the weekend, just by chance actually, a guy who is a luxury car dealer, and he was telling me, he was actually showing me some of the cars. He deals and provides cars for lots and lots of top footballers around Europe, not just in the Premier League, but around Europe. And because he provides the cars, he has I'm not sure what you call it, where you can see where the player goes with his car.
They've got everyone has a GPS. I mean, it's
GPS. That's it. Yeah. So he texts it, and he says he can see exactly where the footballers go, and he says the footballers don't do anything. He says he sees them. He sees them. They go to training. They go back home. It. They go to training. They go back home. They don't do anything else. They don't do anything else at all.
It's a very, very elite sports. People
regimented,
have this
boring life. Yes, they have a lot of time. Yeah.
It is, and it's a lot of spare time where you don't do anything, and that's why they all watch, football games, and they play cards, and they play FIFA. And it's a very, very boring game. It's a very, very, you have to be incredibly mentally strong and disciplined to not, to focus. And, I understand that if you are trained to live off of kicks, and if you're trained to live off of adrenaline in your sport, you will look to supplant that when you're not playing and training. I get all of that, and I do think this is also a public health issue, and it should be treated as such. But there is a big but here. You are also responsible, everyone is, to follow the law as it is, even the stupid ones. And if you don't agree with them, then you should lobby and work, like everyone does when they want to change the law. Ignorance of the law is not a defense. But again, I think that
I do have an issue with the law. I do accept what you're saying, especially when the underworld is involved, the illegal betting, with the illegal. But
even if it's legal, Carlo, this is the thing though. They use a lot of these criminal gangs. I mean, there's been lots of brilliant reporting done on this about how these illegal gangs use legal ways to wash money, launder money.
Oh, of course they do. Yeah.
So it's the way that football has tried to withstand this is basically saying, look, might not be the best solution, but no one who is employed at a club or works in football can bet on football. And Italy's gone further and said, well, the law, you can bet on legal.
I just don't think you can hold footballers responsible for that. I mean, illegal drug gangs and criminals use all kinds of businesses to launder money. They use hairdressers. But if you make it legal for footballers to bet on football, they use But if oh my god, well, I know that. I know that.
Like, do you like live in a Scorsese movie? Like, what are you?
I just know. I know policemen.
Who did you meet yesterday? Did you meet Joe Pesci at the restaurant? Like,
no, I know policemen. They tell me what the number one businesses where money laundering goes, and they say hairdressers and Chinese restaurants are the number one. That's what this is coming from the police, Nima. This isn't me watching a Scorsese movie. I'm just saying.
God. Anyway, what I wanted to say was that look, I think it's not just. I think most sports, from what I'm aware, they're not allowed to. The athletes and people involved in it are not allowed to bet on the sport they're in, and this is also a protective measure of those involved in order so that there's no pressure exerted on them, this has been. It's not the perfect solution, but it's just they can't do more than this.
Can I just raise one other thing, Nima? And I know sometimes I'll get accused of being like, oh, Carlo, he always says that we should sweep things under the carpet like the Premier League does, and I guess I'm not saying that directly because
but
I know
saying
that's
it indirectly.
I'm kind of half saying it in the sense that Italy. Listen, what the point I'm trying to make is I don't want us to go overboard with the punishment here and start banning Zaniolo and Tonali. Obviously, we don't know what the best is. So we need to wait for that. But I'm saying I don't want us to go over the board and start banning these players for years and years for something which, number one, I don't think, if we look at all the problems that there are in Italian football, right, I see this as quite far down the list, if it's just poker and blackjack and betting on games in Malaysia. Like, I would put that way down the list of the problems that need to be solved in Italian football. Is it worth destroying our league further? Is it worth destroying these players' careers and the clubs and again the image and PR of the league over something which, okay, it might be against the law, but if it is just betting on poker and blackjack and betting on Malaysia, is it really worth destroying the league over something?
But it's not being destroyed. This is the thing, though. Like, the problem is this: that Italian football, like, it's a big organization, right? There are people who are following it. They're doing their jobs, and I'm glad that they're doing their jobs and trying to get rid of this element. The problem is that the other side, the people who should be running the PR, the marketing, all that stuff, they're not doing their jobs. So I don't see a problem here, right? The issue is the issue for me is more than anything is that make it harmonize reality with the law, and in the sense of what do I mean? It's like either you either you ban gambling altogether online and you make all of it illegal, which they can't do. But if you're going to have that allowed, I don't understand the correlation between someone playing blackjack online with why they okay, I understand if it's an illegal site that's not licensed, that's a different thing. That applies to all citizens, every human being in Italy and Sweden and everywhere, right? I'm talking about from the sporting side. I don't understand if the issue is playing on blackjack and playing online slot games and poker and stuff like that. I don't think that's big. It's that big of a scandal. I think it's stupid that they went to an unregistered, unlicensed online site, and I think they should be fined for that. But I don't see the scandal. But if
I agree.
bet on
Although
football,
they would have done it because they're not allowed to bet, isn't it?
Yeah,
So they can't bet legally because they would be found out. They would be.
That needs to. I mean, for goodness sakes, I mean, it's that's silly. Like I understand that they're not allowed to bet on football, and I support that 100%. You shouldn't be able to bet on the sport you're working with. I just think that's just common sense. You have that in finance. You have similar regulations everywhere, right? I get that, but this notion that they can't play on I don't see what this has anything to do with the sport. I just fail to see that. And I don't see so I think that from that aspect I do agree with you on that.
Yeah, because what frustrates me, Nima, just to butt in here is I just feel like, Italian football just loves blowing up a scandal, right? Just they love blowing it up as much as they can and doing as much damage as possible with it. And that's the issue I have. And like you said, yeah, the other side of Italy, they're not doing it. I was speaking to someone last night about this that's in Italy and actually works with the league and deals with clubs and agents. And he said to me, they Italian football just needs to be seen to be doing something. So they bring out a scandal every now and again, and it makes it look like they're actually doing something, when in reality they're actually not doing anything positive to improve the league. Like you said, the infrastructure, the
infrastructure is a joke.
The youth crisis that we have, the academies, which Zola has been going off on one about last week, rightfully so. The television crisis that we have with television revenue and being able to sell TV deals, and the marketing, of course, which me and you talk about every single week, which is just embarrassing. So the only time that they are seen to be doing something is when they're doing these, when these scandals come about, and then they blow them up, I think, too much. And again, I'm not saying they shouldn't be doing this. You're like you say, they're doing their job, but I just feel like this is all they do. And when it's all they do, I mean, what hope does Italian football ever have? It's just negativity. It's there's no creation. It's just destruction. And that's the frustration I have.
No, that is frustrating, and it is annoying, and the fact that there's no other side to that is a bit.
Also, can I just ask you about Fabrizio Corona again? I know you touched upon him, but I think we also need to, again, we need to see what comes up. But I think we need to just take with a pinch of salt kind of what to believe, because there's already some holes in his stories.
I don't believe a single word that man says. I'm sorry. What he said has turned out to be true on Fagioli and a couple of more. But other than that, I don't believe a single word that man says.
Well, Zaniolo, obviously it's he said, she said. But Zaniolo, he said that Zaniolo bet on a game that he was in the Roma squad for. Obviously that's obviously been denied. We'll see. We'll see if he bet on Roma. If he did, regardless of the exact details, he's in trouble. But there's already a hole in that story, because he said he bet on a game when he was in the Roma squad, and actually the game in question, Zaniolo was injured. He wasn't in the squad.
But this is what he does. He always does this. He always says this.
But he's actually holes in his Fagioli story as well. He said that Juventus didn't take Fagioli on tour to America because they basically tried to, cover it up or try to, deal with it in-house to start with. But that was a lie as well, because Juventus went on tour a week before he actually spoke to Juventus. So that is that those dates don't add up either. I mean, and then also there's the Zalewski thing. He named him, didn't he? Nicolo Zalewski, and his team, his entourage have come out and said that he was in the WhatsApp groups, but he hasn't done any betting at all. He was just in a WhatsApp group where they were discussing it, apparently. So he's done no betting either. So there's already lies or incorrect information.
Yeah, but this is what he does. This is what he always does, and he because he knows that when he does it, when things are, he stokes the fire because he gets short term gain from it. But then he knows that people won't pay attention when he gets sued and has to walk it back and retract. I mean, this is his MO. He's been doing it for 20 years. This isn't new with this guy. He's a scumbag lowlife. Let's be honest. We're talking about one of the most despicable human beings in all of Italy, and it's not new. So that's what I'm saying. I this notion that he's not a journalist. He's a
no. And Boniek said that. Boniek said that. He said, he's not a journalist.
He isn't.
He said, I quote: Fabrizio Corona has been described as a journalist. Fabrizio Corona is no journalist. This is a man who received a 13-year prison sentence for many different things, including blackmailing people.
Yeah. It's true.
If he's found lying again here, he should be sent back to prison because he's destroying people's lives. I mean, these players, if they could potentially get banned. Let's just say Italy don't qualify for Euro 2024 because they lose to England on Tuesday, which possibly they probably will lose to England, to be honest with you. But they would have had a much better chance of beating England if they had Tonali available and Zaniolo and all these guys. But he's doing a lot of damage to the Italy national team. I just
love how you want to focus on not lose. Like that's the focus.
That is my focus. Yeah, it's my main focus is I don't want the Italy national team being weakened by this.
That's Carlo's biggest gripe in life.
No, I want to qualify. No, it's not the England game. I want to qualify for the Euros, Nima.
Of course.
I want to qualify for the Euros. But these guys could miss the Euros now. But imagine that it all comes out that these were lies or it was only blackjack or something. I remember the Euro 2012. Domenico got sent home from the Italy squad because of a betting scandal, and he got found out that it was all lies. It wasn't true, and he missed the tournament from it. And he's very bitter about that. Actually,
well, he should. I know, and I remember.
And what happened to the newspapers that printed these lies and nothing? And he had to miss the tournament. I'm not even sure if he ever played in the tournament.
The problem is that Italy, that they need to I think there needs to be some legislation here as well. Lawmakers need to step in and basically clarify together with the sporting authorities what is the deal here. Like, again, and this is a nice segue to our next thing, I think it's ridiculously hypocritical to watch a betting company's name together with the Serie A every week in, week out. And football is making so much money off of betting, and then at the same time wagging the finger. I just can't take that seriously. Look, if you want to take a stringent stance against betting, then you have to go all the way. You have to put your money where your mouth is.
Absolutely. Football is permeated and surrounded by betting sponsorship deals and advertisement of betting companies. It does more. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it must do more than any other industry advertising and promoting betting around the world.
Because they're liquid, they're cash, they have cash on hand. Lots of other businesses don't. These guys, they are all liquid.
It's bizarre that is the case, Nima, yet it treats its own staff or its own workers so stringently and strictly when it comes to betting and basically bans them from doing it. And I understand the reasons why. You've explained that. But it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense that you can be that stringent, yet football is dominated by betting sponsorship. And
but it's not just in Italy; it's everywhere.
Italy's one of the better ones. England, when even Tony was banned for illegal betting earlier this year. I
remember that.
I remember reading a story on it that half of the Premier League teams, I think 9 of the 20 Premier League teams at the time, had betting sponsors on their shirts. Yet here they are banning even Tony for betting. I'm not even sure if it's illegal.
It does look weird.
It
looks weird that it's basically it's not a good look, and there is a little bit of a logical somersault.
I do need to clarify though, this Nima. This is important though. Italian football is, when you compare it to say football in English football, Italian football has tried to crack down on betting sponsorship in Italian football. 5 years ago, the Dignity Decree was passed into law by the Italian Parliament, and that banned advertisement of gambling and betting companies within football. If we're talking about football, but the issue with that though is that Italian clubs then actually skirted around the issue by they instead they would advertise in sports news sites that allowed you to bet. So they still allow you, which is so classically Italian.
It's the most Italian thing in the world. Oh yeah, well I'll do the sideways hustle. Like it's just yeah.
And you've got cryptocurrency as well, but that's another issue altogether. The other thing though, Nima, is we're talking about addiction here, and you said about Fagioli, he clearly has an addiction problems, and there's also been reports, although we can't verify this, that Tonali is in the same position, that he has a real addiction problem. Now, if football really wants to help these addicts, and there are those that say that, I've seen quite a few people come out and say that we shouldn't be severely punishing people like Fagioli and Tonali if they are found guilty of this. Instead, we should be helping them as addicts rather than severely punishing them. But if football really wants to help these addicts, these gambling addicts, then having all this betting sponsorship, I mean,
what do you expect is going to happen? It's a ticking time bomb. I mean, it's just, this is the thing I mean about the ridiculousness of it. I mean, of in football of them saying,
it's in their face every minute. I mean, what do you expect them to do? I mean, if you know an addict of any kind, and I know gambling addicts, right? And I've seen, I think everybody will know somebody that has had their life ruined. Or worse, or destroyed by I know people that have lost their house over that gambling bets. Okay, right. Let's move on to the Italy national team now. And first of all, let's start off with a review of the game against Malta on Saturday evening. Italy win 4-0 against Bari. 2 goals for Domenico Berardi, a goal for substitute Davide Fratesi. But the one big story of this game, Nima, is the really beautiful story of the comeback of Giacomo Bonaventura, who hadn't played for Italy for over 3 years. He comes back and he scores the opening goal. And what a goal as well. A brilliant goal, a champion goal, as Luciano Spalletti scored, where he kind of did a curler from the edge of the area into the far top corner. And that's a beautiful story, isn't it, Nima?
No, it is. And he's probably the most in-form Italian player right now. I think we said last week, or I'm pretty sure we both said, or I know I said that, I think he's going to start. And I think it's right that he starts, because he is the most in-form player in all of Serie A, and probably the most, together with Berardi, the most in-form Italian player. And it is a beautiful story, and it's really cool to see. And I think in this system, in Spalletti's system, like I said, I think he can be Spalletti's Zielinski in lack of other options right now, being ready to take on that role. I mean, we've been talking about Pessina doing it, but he's not quite ready to do that. Jack Bonaventura is ready to do that right now, and he's doing it really well. So I'm really happy for him. And I think he's not, how old is he? He's not too old, is he?
34. But
I mean, that's the kind of age where you're like, well, he's ready now. And if he can have one of those amazing seasons where he's just good this 9-month period, and he plays at this high level, because we know the quality he has. He's just not been able to express that consistently throughout his career. But I mean, if he can have one of those seasons, then that's good for Italy, because I think he does have a role to play in this in this system. I really do think so. At least for now, given that there are no other viable options to play that kind of Zielinski role in the Spalletti midfield.
Yeah, if he could maintain the form that he's playing at the moment, I guess we'll have to see how he does, against the bigger teams. But it was a lovely story. He also dedicated the call up and the goal to his father, who only died recently, as well. But yeah, he has been an underrated player, I think, in the last years, and he was unlucky also to be at Milan at a time when they were just a bit of a joke at the time. So that was a little bit unfortunate. But, I mean, other positives from this game, I mean, obviously, Berardi scoring 2 goals. I didn't think his overall game was that amazing, but you can't complain. The 2 goals that he scored, they were 2 fantastic finishes, especially that first one, which has become a little bit of a kind of vintage Berardi goal now, hasn't it? Like curler from the right into the far corner. I think Moise Kean did all right. I mean, I think he got better as the game went on. I mean, his Spalletti seems to like him. Like, he's aggressive, the pace, his pressing. he's a handful. He puts himself about. He forces errors from the defenders, and he officially got 2 assists, although kind of not really assists, but officially they were assists. I know Zaccagni's now been withdrawn as well, so he won't be available for England game. Personally, I prefer Keane to Zaccagni. I would take Keane over Zaccagni because I just think that, technically not the best. Awareness is terrible. His passing is not the best at times as well. But he's a handful, and he puts teams under pressure. I prefer Keane to Zaccagni, personally.
No, I think, look, Zaccagni, when he's in form, can do a useful job. But he's not really in form right now, in my opinion. So maybe now leave him out. And Moise Keane has been playing really well, both, at Juve as well. So, and he offers Spalletti this kind of tactical flexibility that he likes. So, no, I definitely think so. But
yeah. But the other positives, the defence conceded nothing. Just one mistake by Di Marco, which Bastoni rescued. But apart from that, they conceded nothing. Obviously, they're playing against a very poor team, so I guess you would expect that. I think the pressing was good. That's my biggest. That's the one thing that I take collectively that I take from this game that I thought was good. Like, you can see that is the one thing that you can see that Spalletti has brought to this Italy team, is that they're winning the ball high, they're winning it back fast, and their pressing is really good. And if there's nothing else from these attackers, we know we're lacking quality in attack, especially with Chiesa out as well. That these 3 guys, they're very good pressers. Keane, Raspadori is fantastic presser, and Berardi as well. I mean, these guys win the ball back, so that is something that I think has been very good, certainly in the last 2 games under Spalletti. And also Udogie coming on for his debut.
I was going to say that,
which is lovely, and he got an assist as well.
Yeah, no, I was happy to see that as well. I was really, really happy to see him come in and show what he can do. I think he's going to be really important. And of course, Fratesi scoring again.
Which is nice.
So, no, it's nice. So no.
My biggest negative was one. We until Bonaventura scored, we were creating nothing at all. And even until Berardi scored the second goal, that would be the only thing we'd done all game, which was a moment of magic from Bonaventura. It wasn't through collective play, but in the end we won. The state of play, though, I want to talk about that just so it's clear where we stand going into the England game on Tuesday, because this match against England for Italy, really, unless Italy win, in my opinion, it makes no difference whether they lose or draw. It's not going to make any difference, and I'll tell you why. The situation as we stand is England are top of the group, played 5, 13 points. Italy are second in the group, played 5, 10 points. Ukraine third, played 6, 10 points. So they played a game more. Macedonia fourth, played 6, 7 points. And then Malta bottom of the group, no points after 6 games. Now, Ukraine have got Malta also on Tuesday. Now, we're going to expect Ukraine to win that game. So they're going to go up to 13 points, and Ukraine will have 1 game left in the group. And that will be against Italy on at home, strictly at home, or that will be at neutral venue in the final game of the group. Now, Italy's remaining games are England away, obviously, on Tuesday, and then they play Macedonia at home and in the November break, and then Ukraine away 3 days after that in the same international window. Now, if Italy were to lose against England on Tuesday, assuming, of course, that Ukraine beat Malta, which I'm sure they will, that means that if Italy beat Macedonia at home, they will be level on points with Ukraine going into that final game. But Italy will be ahead on the head-to-head because they beat Ukraine at home, which will mean that Italy will need a draw in that game against Ukraine in order to qualify for Euro 2024. Ukraine will have to win. Now, if Italy were to draw with England, then assuming that Ukraine beat Malta and that Italy beat Macedonia, well, Italy will go into that game against Ukraine 1 point ahead of Ukraine, which doesn't change the dynamic at all. Italy still need to draw, and Ukraine still need to win. So it makes no difference whether they win. The only way it will help Italy is if Italy beat England on Tuesday, and then they beat Macedonia, and again, assuming Ukraine beat Malta, then Italy will go into that final game against Ukraine 3 points ahead. And what that will mean is, assuming that Italy go into that game with a superior goal difference to Ukraine, which I think they should do, unless Ukraine get a massive. Do. Well, it depends. Ukraine could get a massive win against Malta on Tuesday, but assuming they do have a better goal difference going into that final against Ukraine, that will mean that Italy will be able to afford losing by a goal against Ukraine. It will mean that Ukraine will have to beat Italy by 2 goals in order to, if that makes sense, because the head-to-heads, it will come down to head-to-head, and Ukraine will have to get a better than 1 goal difference. Yeah. If it's a 1 goal win, then it will go to goal difference, because that's the next. That's what happens next. So basically, the point is, Italy should just go for the win against England. Yeah. Go for the win. Go all out for the win, because it makes no difference really whether they draw or they lose.
And I think I expect Spalletti to prepare for that as well. I think he'll field his strongest 11. He will field his strongest 11 against England. He didn't do that against Malta. I want to see him play. I want to see Udogie from the start. I want to see Barella step up. I want to see Italy go for it, and I want Italy to dominate, and play their game and really put themselves and show who they are under this Spalletti. I want to see them. I want to see them show their mettle. I want them to show who they're made of. I want to see Scamacca starting. I want to see. Do you know what I mean? Like I want them to take the game to England, because England have nothing to play for, really, if we're perfectly honest. But Italy can actually get a really good morale boost if they give a good performance against it. I mean, beating England at Wembley is always beating England at Wembley. And England are one of the best sides in the world. So I really want to see them go for it.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and it's. I think it's going to be a difficult game. I'm going to be honest. I think Italy have a lot of. I mean, they're decimated. Italy. They've got a lot of players out, and the attack. Yeah, I'm not sure how much quality we've got in attack to do damage in this game. It is going to be very, very difficult.
I want Scamacca to start. I want him to score his first 2 goals for the Italian national team at Wembley.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether I would start Scamacca. In an ideal world, if he was fully fit, if he was fully in form and sharp, then yes, I would start him. But I'm not sure how fully fit and sharp he is. He's been in and out with injury this season. Obviously, this whole year has been bad for him with injury. I don't know if he's ready for this game. I'm not sure. So
if he's called up, he should be physically fit to play.
But to start to play the majority of a game, I don't know. I wasn't impressed massively by him when he came on the other night either. So I don't know. I think that's a difficult.
But see, I don't think that
who he plays up front is going to be. Is going to. I think Berardi definitely will start now.
No, Berardi will definitely has to start.
The other places, I don't think there's. Is for certain who's going else is going.
For me, it's Scamacca, Raspadori, Berardi. That's the front 3 I would go with. I would start the game with those 3. In midfield, Barella, Locatelli, and probably Fratesi.
Yeah, I think so. I think you need Fratesi's legs in this game. And
you need someone who can run. And I'd probably play the same defence, barring, I'd start Di Marco, actually.
Well, you'd bring it. Would you not bring in Acerbi instead of Mancini? Surely you play Acerbi next to Bastoni against Harry Kane. I mean, Acerbi.
Fair enough.
Acerbi's been insane in every single time he's played against a bit. I think Kane in the away game did a job on the Italy defence. He was brilliant in that game. But other than that, Acerbi, his record against the best strikers in the world over the last couple of years is insane. I don't think there's a better defender centre-back in the whole of Europe who has a better better
record against the
record than
strikers,
Acerbi against the best player. I've seen him against Lewandowski. I've seen him against Erling Haaland. Against who else? I mean, there's some other ones as well.
He's done pretty good against Osimhen as well.
Osimhen, Giroud. I mean, his record is amazing against the best number 9s.
I just think, I love Destiny Udogie, but I'd probably start Di Marco if you're starting Scamacca. I think if Scamacca doesn't start, I'd start Udogie. Like it's one of the two. And
yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? That one,
because
but also you got to remember that Saka
left foot and crossing, like.
Yeah. No, Saka's out for England.
Yeah, I know.
So, if Saka was playing, I'd maybe think about Udogie more because I watched them in the North London derby. And he did a really good, after a difficult start, he did really, really well.
Yeah, he worked himself into the game, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah. Agreed. So, but Saka's out. I mean, the England team, that's going to be interesting to see who they play behind Kane because obviously Saka's out. Rashford's not been in the best of form. So, I mean, at the moment, I think they're thinking it's going to be Foden, Bellingham and Maddison as the three behind Kane.
Jude Bellingham.
Madison's been in great form this season.
He's been unbelievable for Spurs. Like that is and Foden is Foden. We know what he can do. He's such a talented player. Bellingham.
It's a shame Maguire. It's a shame Chiesa's not fit because England don't have a left back. Like Southgate's not even called up a left back. They've got Trippier playing at left back. So someone like Chiesa could have really.
Federico Chiesa could do all. Yeah. But I'm starting to get annoyed now. This is the second international break he's pulled out of.
Yeah.
I don't understand what's going on there. Like, it's starting to annoy me because Italy need him.
I know. That's a huge blow. That's a huge blow because we saw. Yeah, but I guess this is what happens, isn't it? After ACLs, you get knock-on injuries that happen. I just hope this isn't something that's going to be consistently. He's going to get lots of injuries now going on.
Agreed.
I really hope not. But he's been reasonably fit for Juventus this season.
Well, that's what I mean.
It's just the Italy games. He's been missing the Italy games.
That's what annoys me. And it's like, well, they need to manage him more. And especially with a Juve that's only playing once a week. I don't understand what they're doing. It's frustrating.
No, it is. It's very, very frustrating. Yeah. Well, let's see. Is England's chance to qualify and chance for revenge for Euro 2020 final for England as well. It's crazy to think. I was thinking about this the other day that from that Euro 2020 final, I believe there will only be 3 Italians left from that starting 11 in the Euro 2020 final that will start this game. That will be Donnarumma, Di Lorenzo, and Barella, and that's it. I don't think I've missed anyone else out. So that's Chiellini, Bonucci no longer
didn't
there.
Start, did he?
No, Locatelli didn't. So he came on. Obviously Emerson was the left back. Barella, Jorginho and Verratti in midfield. They're not there. And then up front, it was Immobile. He's not there. Insigne's gone, and Chiesa's injured.
Started, did he?
No, he didn't. No, he came on.
He came on.
He came on as a sub. Yeah, when Chiesa got injured. That kind of shows the turnaround.
It is. But at the same time, I would probably have Verratti in this game. I think it's.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? When Tonali was withdrawn, he decided to call up Ricci instead.
Well, I love that.
Well, of course, you love that. You love Ricci, but I think that someone like Verratti probably could have done a job. But then I don't know. I haven't been following him in Qatar. Has he played yet?
No,
I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. It does feel.
I'm a little bit surprised. I mean, it's a bit annoying. Not surprised, but it's a little bit annoying that Retegui is gone, Immobile's gone, Chiesa's gone. Like it's just like in this game, like when you.
Oh no, they've got tons of players out Italy for this game. Let's not forget that. Especially when it also remember when it comes to having options off the bench, then that becomes Italy. That becomes a problem. And even El Shaarawy has been recalled. I mean, El Shaarawy in 2023 in the Italy national team. I mean, we are decimated. Let's not pretend.
And Pellegrini's out as well. Yeah, it's annoying. But no, I mean, Italy should. I really want them to go for it, regardless, because I think this could be kind of a learning experience as well for many of these young players. So, and I
like
do
I
think
said,
this
they
is.
might as well go for it because a win or a draw or a loss, it makes no difference. It makes no difference at all. So we might as well go for it. And who knows? Who knows? I mean, England, Italy can get the first goal. That might play on England a little bit.
Oh, I want Scamacca to shut everyone up. Oh my God, how I want Scamacca to shut everyone up. Yeah, sorry. It's just, the thing is, I really like the kid because I really think he's a unique kind of striker that Italy have not been anywhere near of producing for a generation. And I think the talent he has, please can he start expressing that? Because he is technical. He's big, he's strong, he's technical, he can
Yeah,
shoot
he's
with
got
both feet.
definitely got all the technical, physical qualities. Has he got the mental qualities? What is it? Also, how does he move around the pitch? Like he needs to.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like he needs to. His movement needs to
Yeah,
be
his
better.
movement
He's a
needs to
bit
improve.
static. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's a
he
bit
is.
static, and I think
Yeah.
Spalletti's definitely can improve that.
Oh, yeah.
That's something
Spalletti's good.
Spalletti can definitely work at with him, and I guess Gasperini as well, because Gasperini is very
Yeah.
much a manager that likes players to move around, doesn't he?
Yeah.
So I think that is what he needs to improve. Don't be so static. Don't be Mario Balotelli and just stand there and wait for the ball to come to you. He needs to.
This international break has been
Get rid
mad.
of the neck tattoo as well.
No. Leave the neck. Leave Italian Ibra with a neck tattoo alone. Look, this international break. Speaking of Balotelli, him and Ibrahimovic going at it as well. I mean,
I
this
love
has
that.
been an absolutely batshit international break. I remember the international breaks were times were moments for us to kind of relax a little bit, but it's been absolutely mental.
No.
I can't do this. They need to chill with the international breaks. The next one needs to be boring. Seriously,
No,
the
it does. But Nima, it's not going to be
boring.
because Italy playing Ukraine to qualify for the Euros. So it's
Lovely.
definitely not gonna be. Right. Okay.
hell.
Let's just finish off with Baggio and Premface of the week. Okay, Baggio. I mean, what are we thinking? Bonaventura for Baggio of the week?
Has to be. Yeah. For me, it's yeah. I mean, the story, everything about it is has to be, and also he's such a great character as well, isn't he? I don't know. It's just some people are very charismatic, and he just comes across as really charismatic. I mean, the way he celebrates and the expressions on his face when he celebrates, I really like him. And it was a very good goal, and it's a nice story. So yeah, give it to Bonaventura.
Yeah, absolutely. And Premface of the week. Do you have anyone? I've got one.
We'll go for it.
Yeah, our Premface hunter, Samuel Venturess. Thank you, Sam. He's our man. He's our chief inspector for Premfacery. Yeah, so Henry Winter saying after England beat Australia that England will smash Euro 2024. And also used as evidence the fact that an Australia player had said that as well. Yeah.
I mean, I think Australia are a decent side, but I mean, I wouldn't go. Look, as I've said, I have England winning the Euros, and I've had that for quite some time. I mean, ever since the World Cup in Russia, I said England, this generation of England players will win the tournament. I think 2024 is the year when they'll do it. But I don't. But that's because I've been looking at it from a couple of years and how they've been developing in Southgate in this generation. I don't think the Australia game has anything to do with that. It's a silly thing to say. And this is what I mean. This they say anything for effect. Do you know what I mean? Anything, just momentarily. There's no analysis. There's no thought process. It's just bow. Do you know what I mean? Like just smashing out big letters on the back pages, front page. It's so lowest common denominator, isn't it? It's just so so tabloidy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just so tabloidy.
It really is. Can I just to finish off? I have to say I've just opened my Twitter mentions now, and one of our patrons, good friend of ours, Maggi Intenshi, says you have to make Nima Badjo of the week for his performance on George Galloway's show on Sunday evening. I have to second that. I was in awe. I don't want us to make.
No, let's not go into
I don't want
that.
us to be a political podcast, but I just want to say everybody listen to that. I mean, Nima was absolutely magnificent. It was.
Thank you, Magine, and thank you, and yeah, I mean, it's been very, very kind to everyone who's got in touch. But Carlo and I don't want this to be. We don't want to. We want to stay within the topic that we talk about, and in the context of Italian football and football general, we will talk about issues. But yeah, whenever they come up. We're not afraid to, but we don't want it to turn into a political debate or an arena.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, right, let's leave it at that. We'll be back on Tuesday for the Q&A. Until then, ciao, ciao.